background on Meg, for those who don't know. She's the author of 37 books, over 100 short stories and articles. She's been published not only in the mystery field with her Charlie Plato series, but also in the romance and romantic suspense field. Her most recent books are More Than You Know and Snapshot. So, just touching on this, tell us a little bit about the differences between your Harlequin romance, romantic suspense novels and the mysteries that you do in terms of how you approach sex scenes.
Well, originally, when I started writing romance, which was, by a strange coincidence, 37 years ago, book a year, 37 years ago, they were more like the Mary Stuart kind of romance, and that was where everything was understood, but it wasn't written out. There was nothing written that would indicate people actually went through in the bedroom door. You might glimpse the bedroom door, but you would not go through that door. And then I got an offer. I was writing for Ace at that time. And then I got an offer from Harlequin to write for them, and I wasn't sure I could handle this because I thought they were all very sexy books. However, they told me what the first printing would be, and I was sold immediately with 750,000 copies. So I thought, yeah, I could do it. I could do it. So I did. I wrote for Super Romance, and they were sexy, but not. Nowadays, there's erotica, which goes even further, I think. But it was always, for me, it was just the one man, one woman. And nobody else was having any. It was just the couple. And that would be along with the suspense story. No running through the forest at all. But then I did some Harlequin intrigue. And in Harlequin intrigue, there wasn't really, there was a little hints and little bits, but they weren't as sexy as Super Romance. So each line in Harlequin would have a different measure of how much you could do. And mostly, the one thing they cared about was that it would be, I don't want to say tasteful, what can I say?
Delicious.
Sensual.
And it's interesting that all the men said the same word.
I'm not sure. I took some time off. 37 years of writing, 40 hours a week usually. I got tired. So I've been doing short stories and some, in fact I'm doing articles for The Writer about writing, even though I'm not writing books. But I do have a new proposal out, and it's for a series, and I would love to do another series. I think that is the most fun for a mystery writer, is to have that continuing, because your readers, if they get into the series, they really are faithful, and they write letters and make comments, and sometimes negative. I tried to kill a rabbit once, and I got a lot of mail on that. I had to reincarnate him. And so somebody wrote, if this rabbit dies, I'm not reading your book. So, but that's not a very good thing to end on. But I am planning a new series, and I have a short story coming out in Ellery Queen sometime soon called The Trombone Player. Very useful, yes. Actually, it makes writing a lot more interesting when you're doing that. The first time I ever wrote a sex scene, the ghost of my mother was hovering behind my left shoulder saying, "Aren't we getting a little out there, dear?" So, but I'm a reformed romance writer, so I have written a lot of sex. However, in my mystery novels, I don't usually. I think sexual tension is a very good component in a mystery. But I don't think you want to pause from all the detecting and so on in order to have a good time. Because you want to get away from who puts what where.
It's more the emotional aspect.
The emotional, anytime you're getting into emotions, you're also, as a writer, getting your own emotions, and that's often difficult to do. But yeah, you mentioned research, so I'm going to tell a little story on myself at a romance convention when I was talking about research, and somebody asked, do you research the sex scenes? And I said, well, sure. They wanted to know how. So I said, well, I go to parties, I flirt with strange men. And they said, well, what do you do if they take it seriously? And I swear this was an innocent response on my part. I said, I can usually handle anything that comes up. I think that the difference for me and what I have always written is love scenes. And that includes sex quite often. But I remember when I first started reading in the mystery field in America, and I was quite amazed, not shocked or horrified, but amazed at the number of times a certain writer's detective could get in and out of bed with a different woman. And it just went through the whole book where he was changing partners all the time. And so I didn't quite approve of that. I think if it's especially if you're writing a series, you're going to have some growing attraction to somebody, probably. Otherwise, it's going to be rather strange to have this whole world you've created.
Where you're building the tension.
Yes, you've got to. But I think really the main thing is that tension is much more exciting. And I had a series called the Charlie Plato Mystery Series, in which Zach wanted Charlie, and Charlie wanted Zach. But Charlie respected herself and did not respect Zach, so she wasn't going to do it. And it went through the series like that, and I would get emails after each book. And there would be some from women who would say, don't let her do it, she'll never forgive herself. There would be emails from men who said, why don't you let Zach just nail Charlie and get it over with? And then there would be the few who would say, well, you know, she could go ahead, she'd have her memories. So how can you please all of those people all of the time? You can't do it. So I think the writer has to write what he or she feels is right in this particular story. And if it doesn't fit, like running through the Amazon, I'm sorry, Dave.
That scene did not.
That was bad. It was bad, yes, because they were being chased, and you don't stop and have sex.
And they had combat boots on.
Yes, they
you know, and I'm thinking the whole time I read it.
We don't write sex scenes because we think it will sell books. I don't think any of us do that, but I think there are writers who do that.
Want to name one?
No.
Sure you do.
No.
Titty.
I never name names.
But I think that's a